Great to have you with us in this bulletin. Now, there was near fisticuffs between two lawyers at the Cape Coast High Court hearing the case of the dual citizenship of the ASSIN North MP. The two lawyers, Frank Davis and Abraham Amaliba, got off their seats in court and advanced towards each other amidst heated exchanges over the absence of the lawyer for the ASSIN North MP, Abraham Amaliba, last week, constituting a show of disrespect to the court. The two lawyers had to be whisked away by security guards at the court after the judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, ordered the two out of his court. Our correspondent Richard Kodonyako joins us via Zoom with more. Richard, it reads like a scene from a movie. What really happened? Right, Richard, can you hear me? Right, we will reconnect with Richard Kodonyako very shortly, but let me just remind you of what happened at the ASSIN North constituency. What it was that the eligibility of the elected member of parliament, Joseph Kwakye Kwesi, was challenged by some members of the MPP, and as a result, he was actually not supposed to be in parliament when parliament was being sworn in on the 6th of January 2021. But Richard has rejoined us to give us details of what happened today. Richard, what caused this argument, really?
So, Daniel, so you know the case was adjourned at the last sitting for the 24th and the 25th, that's today and tomorrow. So the last sitting, lawyer for the first respondent, Abraham Amaliba, did not turn up in court, but sent a letter to the court explaining why he couldn't come to court because he had other engagements in other courts, and also pleaded with the court to fix the case for Midday. Judge Justice Kwesi Boakye fixed the case for today and ordered all parties involved in the case to be present because, in his wisdom, he said that he was going to ensure an expeditious hearing. So today in court, Abraham Amaliba stood up and said he took exceptions to the words of the counsel for the petitioner, Frank Davis, saying he, Amaliba, was disrespectful to the court. And so Frank Davis explained that that was not, and he explained that that was not his intention. Hello?
Right, Richard, you're on air.
Okay, so he said, he explained that it was not his intention to disrespect the court, neither was it his intention to disrespect Frank Davis. So Frank Davis also stood up in court and said he stands by his words because both of them practiced in Accra, and so if for any reason he would not be present in court, writing the letter, he could have also copied him, or alternatively, he had his number, and so he could have called him. So he would be properly advised and decided what to do. But he decided to surprise him. So the exchanges got a notch higher with each getting off their seat and advancing towards each other. And so they had to be separated by the security detail at the court. And the judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, said that he wants the two lawyers out of his court. And so they were whisked away from the court. And so there was a temporary suspension of the court proceedings for close to 20 minutes. They came down and they came back to the court after they had been spoken to. And so after the court proceedings, Abraham Amaliba said that Frank Davis was his senior, and so each of them apologized to each other. And then Abraham Amaliba decided to carry the bag of Frank Davis, and then they walked out of the courtroom after the entire process had ended.
Right. So did any of them speak to us?
Come again?
Did any of them speak to the media?
No. After the court case, they were subsequently engaged by the presiding judge plus the state attorney of what happened, and each of them apologized to themselves. And so they did not speak with the media in today's encounter that ensued at the court. But nonetheless, the court processes went on. When they resumed, counsel for the first respondent, Abraham Amaliba, pleaded with the court that he wants to amend the answers to the petition that has been filed. So the court granted it because there was no opposition from the Electoral Commission and then from the lawyer for the petitioners. And so the case has been fixed for the 12th, where the court has ordered that they should come with their proposed issues that will guide the entire process.
Richard Kojoyako, thank you very much for joining us with those updates from the Central Region. Now, there was a near clash between police and students at the premises of the Ghana Institute of Journalism as students besieged the campus of the school in protest of a directive from the management asking them to defer their courses for a year. The directive followed the inability of some students to meet the deadline for payments of fees and registration, but the students say the management is being unfair to them and they want the directive revoked. Manuel Kranting is on the campus and he joins us live with more. Manuel, what is the current status? During news desk, things looked a bit chaotic. What's the current state of affairs on campus? Right, Manuel, can you hear me? Right, Manuel, can you hear me?
Hello, Control, please, you see.
Right, Manuel, if you can hear me, go ahead with your report.
Well, the situation is just subsiding here at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, away from the pictures that we showed you earlier in the morning when you came to us. Well, there was a near clash between the students and then the officials from the Ghana Police Service, essentially, preventing them from having access onto their campus. And so just to give you a bit of a background, to the issue itself, well, we've just gathered that the school set a deadline of 8th January for them to pay their fees and register their courses. Well, due to certain circumstances, there was an application for review of that deadline, which was moved to somewhere ending of January. And there was a second review, which brought the deadline to 25th of February. And so there's been two different and successive deadline reviews. But this time around, the management of the school says it is not going to review the deadline again. All the folks who missed the deadline are now supposed to defer their courses. And that is the bone of contention here at the premises. And we've been at it for the past couple of hours with the students agitating and not, agreeing to move away from the campus. Let me speak to this gentleman quickly. What is the concern? There's been two reviews of deadline. What's happening?
You see, by convention, if a student pays after the deadline, the student is required to pay a penalty of 200 cedis. You understand? So even if you miss the deadline, you still have an opportunity, okay, to pay a penalty of 200 cedis and get registered onto the portal. And these students have been following up on this from 26th of February until yesterday, when this directives came out that they should defer, and which is so unconventional.
It's so unconventional. It's not happened before. But did you put your grievances to the management?
We sent a petition to management yesterday. We've not had any reply from them. As we speak, we have three of our colleagues in a meeting. with management. We are waiting for the outcome. Then after that, we'll know what to do next.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, so there's a meeting that's currently ongoing. I'll just bring in this gentleman who is actually having to defer for the second time. This gentleman, missed the deadline for the first time and went away from the school, came back this year and is having to defer again. Tell us, you've missed it before. How are you missing it again?
I just don't even know what to say at this point in time, because last year I was supposed to join my colleagues and then graduate, but because of these same financial constraints, we weren't able to register. And now that we deferred willingly, we have come back saying that we want to continue the course. They are telling us to defer because of late registration. I personally didn't register after the deadline. I had paid my fees, everything intact. But selection of the courses to make sure I had everything intact was the problem. And here, communication is very bad. Sometimes even you have to be going up and down just to hear a positive response from them when you put a petition to them. Please, you understand. So
financial constraints got you to miss the deadline last year, and you've missed it again because of financial constraints.
Yes, please.
So what are you going to do now?
Right now, I don't know, but I wish they would open a portal for us to register and then continue, because It's very painful. Other than that, our dreams will be shattered.
So he's making the point that their dreams may be shattered if this particular directive is allowed to hold. But he's not alone. There are a couple others just like him who missed the deadline years ago and have missed it again, giving you a picture of the sort of financial constraints that some of the students go through to be able to, pay their fees. What's your name?
Matilda Belinda.
Matilda, great. You've missed... What?
Metal.
Metal, great. Talk to me. How did you miss your first deadline?
Yeah, it was because of financial problems. We couldn't afford to pay our fees because our parents wasn't able to fend for all of us. And then we go through all these things and all we get is another deferral again. We don't want to defer again. That is why we are here.
But there were two successive reviews. You could have taken advantage of that, no?
Come again.
There were 2 successive reviews in deadlines. You could have taken advantage of those.
Well, yeah, we did that. They gave us a deadline. We did it. But then registering was a problem because there was other courses that had to crash. Because we didn't come on time, we weren't able to choose our groups well. And that was something that affected us. Do you get it? So it wasn't our fault that we delayed in our registration. We were able to register like 1 or 2 courses. Then the 3rd, 4th, 5th said we couldn't register.
It's not your fault.
It wasn't my fault.
But that's what they are alleging, Daniel, that it's not their fault, but they're having to bear the brunt of the repercussions anyways. And that's the situation here from the Ghana Institute of Journalism. There's a meeting that's currently ongoing between some select leaders of the students and then the management of the school in the other premises of the school, which is at Jowulu. So we are monitoring that meeting also, and we'll bring you updates on what comes out of that meeting. Daniel, if you can hear me, over to you.
Thank you very much, Manuel Kranting, for bringing us those updates live from the GIJ campus at Osu. Now, Member of Parliament Education Committee Dr. Clementa Park is backing the students' call for management to rescind the decision directing those who have failed to meet the deadline for school fees payment to defer their programs.
The impact of COVID-19 has had implications, for which reason even government is seeking for the support of the citizens. So if the students have paid their fees, and even if they had not paid, and were allowed to register, and have studied, prepared, willing, and have the right frame of mind to write their exams, for the management of the institution to tell them that they should defer, I don't think it is fair. I would say that they should be allowed to write their exams, and even when there are conditions that will mandate the authorities to hold students accountable for non-payment of fees, that can be done. The students are not going to run away. They will write. Some of them are continuing students. Some may be final year students. Even for the final year students, they will certainly come back to take their certificates. You can hold them accountable. But to say that they should not write their exams, I don't think it is fair at all. And I would want to implore management to revise its decision, because this is our future. These are the young men and women who are going to carry the burden of this country on their shoulders. The whole world over, these are normal times. So management ought to exercise some level of magnanimity. Management should be able to reach out halfway, considering what we have all gone through and are yet to recover. We should not be putting extra burden, distress, and pressure on young men and women. Look, the country is teetering on a crisis. Young men and women need sanity. Exactly. They have done well till today. We should not pile up any more pressure on them. Because the consequences of the youth of this country getting disappointed in established institutions is not one that we can bear.
Okay. Another thing is that we know that Parliament usually approves the fees and charges of the various institutions, special institutions. As we speak, for an institution like the Ghana Institute of Journalism, they have increased their fees without parliamentary approval, and students have been forced to pay. Is this something the Education Committee of the House is looking at dealing with?
Well, I'm a member of the Education Committee of Parliament. I'm the deputy ranking member. And indeed, it is illegal for any institution to increase the fees of students without first getting the approval of Parliament. And I can tell you that all of these matters would certainly come to the committee and we will address them. But what I want to say is that it is illegal for any institution to increase the fees of students without getting parliamentary approval.
Now we move from that story, and a report by Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee has established that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has so far investigated only 2 cases since its inception in 2018. The office has, however, also commenced prosecution against 8 accused persons. The OSP attributed the delay in the effective execution of its mandate to what is described as the protracted legal tussle, which challenged the capacity of the former special prosecutor to arrest, investigate, and prosecute alleged corruption and corruption-related offences. This, according to the OSP, led to the indefinite adjournment of all cases being prosecuted by the OSP till the final determination of the pending suit involving the former special prosecutor. The office, however, assured the committee of its resolve to drive the agenda for the criminalization of unexplained wealth as part of its corruption prevention program this year. Parker Wilson joins us live with more. Parker, first of all, who represented the Office of Special Prosecutor since the former prosecutor himself has resigned?
Then, interestingly, when I asked the committee, they failed to disclose that. They said that when they get to the floor of the House, that is when they will give us the details of what happened or what transpired in the meeting. This particular report that we are talking about is yet to be presented to the House. So I managed to get a copy and looked at what was contained in the report, and that is what we know now, that since the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, they have only investigated 2 cases, that is from 2018. And as we speak, they are now prosecuting 8 individuals. But however, they are promising that this year they will do more. And of course, what delays the effective execution of their mandate is about the legal tussle between the former of special prosecutor and then the NDC MP, that is Mr. Ayene, who challenged the legitimacy of the former special prosecutor. So that's what we know for now. So we'll come to the floor, and when it gets there, we'll get the details of who represented the special prosecutor.
Right. What else are we to expect from the House today?
Well, so today, just a while ago, the Mines and Energy Committee also submitted their report to the House, which will be soon debated and either approved or otherwise. Again, we expect that 6 NDC members will move a motion for the investigation of the security services, their involvement in the December 2020 election and how the election was characterized by violence. And so these are some of the things we are expecting today from the House.
Right, thank you very much, Parker Wilson, for bringing us those details. Remember, as soon as that report gets to the floor of the House, we will have more details, or even before then, we will have more details and share with you. Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana is promising its customers in the Volta and Oti regions a stable power supply after shedding load for 5 days. This follows the completion of maintenance works on a transformer at the Asiekpe bulk supply unit by the Ghana Grid Company. The Volta Region ECG Public Relations Officer Benjamin Obing Entry indicated that his office is determined to deliver on its core mandate.
Well, I think every customer within the region will attest to the fact that prior to this maintenance work by Grid, power was very stable in the Volta and then Oti region as well. We want to assure our customers that once Grid has completed with the maintenance work successfully, we will do our best to keep the lights on. We will do our best to ensure that power is stable. We will do our best to deliver on our core mandate, i.e. to provide quality, reliable and safe electricity services. So we want to assure our cherished customers that ECG Volta will do our best to ensure customers enjoy reliable and stable power supply.
Some customers, though, were unhappy with the power outages within the last 5 days, lauded ECG for consistently updating the public.
Yes, we very much appreciate the fact that this time around ECG has been open and has been able to share their schedule. Before the maintenance, power was stable in town, and we hope that after this maintenance, power will be stable, and then we also appreciate the fact that they kept on updating us on from time to time through WhatsApp platforms, on radio, and then via other channels. So we appreciate this effort made by ECG, and we hope this will continue going forward.
Before these 5 days that we are experiencing power outage, power has been very stable in Ho. That's the truth of the matter, very stable. And for these 5 days, we had a schedule. I had it myself. ECG sent out a schedule. There's going to be maintenance on some of the transformers. Yes, the maintenance was going on, but the way I expected the power to be off for a long time, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
Communities. So yes, the constant flow of information is what I want to commend ECG about. They've done very, very well this time around, and I want to commend them for that. For Greco, I also want to commend them for proactive nature of the maintenance work that they've carried on. You know, Ghana, we always say that our problem is maintenance culture, but if they have realized that there's a need for them to do that proactive maintenance work, then it's commendable, and we are urging them that maybe along the line, not every customer that will be happy. Some may not even have access to the information, and others may have. And you know, technical work, sometimes some may stay in darkness for longer than expected, and some may not even go at all. But in all, proactively, we should rather commend them. Once the maintenance work is going to enhance the effective nature of the power system in the region. Kudos to them.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Ho.
Right, moving on. The use of taxis and motorbikes in transporting patients in critical conditions is a common feature at Asiwa in the Bosome-Friho district of the Ashanti region. Yet a no ambulance allocated to the districts to help in referrals has been parked by the local assembly. Residents say the failure to put the ambulance on the road is a bane of preventable deaths in the district.
The Bosome-Friho district benefited from the government's distribution of ambulances 2 years ago, but the ambulance is yet to be put to use. Residents say the use of the ambulance could have helped save preventable diseases.
Anytime there's an emergency, we find it difficult conveying the sick to the hospital unless you find a taxi. Often the person dies as a result because the ambulance is left idle. If the ambulance has no use, they should return it. 2 people from this district opted for a chance to drive the ambulance, but they were denied.
The ambulance is parked at a shed with no sign of movement. The services of motor riders are often sought in transporting patients to and from adjoining health facilities.
We find it difficult conveying the sick to the hospital. It is best if the ambulance conveys sick people, especially when they may be unconscious.
Taxi drivers who also offer services say most patients fail to pay them after transporting them to the hospitals. They had hoped the ambulance service would have brought relief to their humanitarian services.
I have picked up several people, but none of them survived. If the ambulance was functional, it would have helped a lot.
District Chief Executive for Bosome-Friho, Yao Danso, says the assembly is looking up to the National Ambulance Service to get them a driver to man the ambulance.
We have spoken to the regional director in charge. As a DC, I do not have the power to hire personnel to drive the ambulance.
Ashanti Regional Administrative Manager of the National Ambulance Service, Somik Dut Milon, says there is ongoing training to fill the gap.
People think that normally any other person can drive the ambulance. No, that's not the case. We don't have ambulance drivers. We have people who are trained as emergency medical technicians who are supposed to man these ambulances for us. So as we talk now, some are still in training. I know very soon the gap will be closed and we will not have much issues as we have now.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, a bullet-ridden building is what houses the Rwandan members of parliament today. Those are bullets fired almost 27 years ago, when thousands of injured people were being treated, came under fire by government forces at the time. In this report, Gifty Apia listens to another survivor who mans the campaign against Genocide Museum, housed inside the parliament's building, as she explores why, after 27 years, the bullet-ridden part of the building is neither rebuilt nor repaired.
After the victory of 4th July.
Chantel is the first to meet us when we arrive at the campaign against Genocide Museum. She tells us it houses the sequence of events of how some 600 soldiers strategized to rescue the country from some 100 days of chaos and deaths. They were members of the Rwandan Patriotic Front, the party now in charge of governance in Rwanda. Chantel takes us around the building, inside of which filming is not allowed. On this side of the building, however, I am fascinated at dozens of what looks like bullet holes, some wider than the usual bullet I know could inflict. I am told this happened when opposition party members in 1994 had come into the capital as part of a process to form a government of national unity.
They came here because one part of the building served as a parliament, another one was a hotel.
Visitors to this museum, like myself, are taken through a dated plan of how the said 600 soldiers, led by General Paul Kagame, now president of the country, launched their own strategic attack against the then Hutu-led government forces.
They were the ones who started to rescue victims and fight with the genocidal forces.
Chantel says many of the soldiers died, although they managed to save others, bringing thousands of them for treatment inside this building.
When lots of people were being slaughtered countrywide, this was the only safe place where people could find refuge. And from 6th April to July 1994, meaning during genocide, the building sheltered thousands of Rwandans who were able to reach here. Because the building, as I told you, was hosting the politicians, it was attacked.
There have been some skepticism about how the said 600 soldiers could outdo many more heavily armed government forces. But for now, the Rwandans here that I have interacted with share this as the story, and monuments have been mounted at the various places around the parliament building from which the anti-government attacks were launched in honor of those soldiers, some of whom are still alive today. That is how the chaos ended. Targeted attacks by the RPF forces on key operational centers of the then government. Chantel is a genocide survivor herself, but she'd rather not share her personal story, although she tells me doing this every day with visitors brings healing. For every story, they say there are other different sides, depending on who tells the story. In fact, critics have said there were Tutsi retaliations which equally resulted in some deaths. For now, here is the part of the story shared with us at the Campaign Against Genocide Museum, which is housed in the Parliament of Rwanda. Are leaving this parliament building ridden with huge bullet holes as daily parliamentary business is conducted here. This should not only serve as a reminder, but deterrent enough.
This is the top of the Rwandan parliament. This is not just a house where they make laws, but it is a symbolic building for the Rwandan people. 27 years ago, on top of this hill, was when the rescue mission was launched to rescue the country from anti-genocidal forces. Also, in this building, thousands of people who were injured were treated right here. 27 years on, the country is looking ahead to a better future.
Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Kigali, Rwanda.
Now, the name of a person, place, or thing is supposed to have meaning. These names could be corrupted, and the real meanings could be lost over time. One such name is the capital of the Bono region, Sunyani. Is that the original name? And what is the history of the Sun City of Ghana, Sunyani? As part of the Joy News Ghana Month series, Precious Semevo has been finding out more about the history of Sunyani.
Sunyani is the capital city of the then Bono Ahafo region and now Bono region. The now cosmopolitan town with over 150,000 inhabitants is such a serene, well-planned city with the dualization of its major roads fitted with street lights that are such a delight to watch at night. But what is the real history of this beautiful and hospitable town? Nana Bofutia Bwamponsem is the Krontinhine of the Sunyani traditional area.
The people who settled in Sunyani were hunters. They came from various places. The ancestors who settled here are Nana Bwahenkoko and Nana Bofutia. They are the people and the hunters which came together to settle in Sunyani. And their village was called Asonyaye, a place where elephants are killed and then skinned. So when an elephant is killed and then skinned, the place or the village which our forefathers skinned the elephants is called Asonyaye, and it has been corrupted as Sunyani.
Sunyani is such a peaceful and welcoming place for people of different tribes. The Sun City's uniqueness dates back to its originators.
The two people who settled in Sunyani, they love themselves, they love visitors, so they accepted almost every personality. The Omanhene of Sunyani, now his name is Nana Bosoma Asonkere, but his title is Dasebre Ojiamansan, because whether you are Akan, Ewe, Mosi, or wherever you come from, Nananam accepted those people because we believe it is the visitors who we use to establish communities. It makes Sunyani being a peaceful place for people to settle here.
Sunyani, according to the chiefs and people, has enough room for investors.
I've been awarded a cleanest city in Ghana, if not in West Africa. So Sunyani is a serene place where people can come to stay, to do their conferences. The Omanhene and his elders have a lot of land to give to other investors to come and invest in Sunyani. And the youth of Sunyani are very hard-working youth. So we are inviting people to come and join us in Sunyani.
So, if you need a peaceful and congenial place to live or establish your business, think of Asunjaye or Sunyani, and you will be glad you did. For Joy News, Precious Semevo, Sunyani.
And you're still live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Up next is Business with Daryl Kwao. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Chomanting, has defended the 2021 budget and economic policy, saying it's the best to push Ghanaian businesses ahead of their African partners to trading within the African Continental Free Trade Area. According to him, the suspension of tax down for small businesses and other initiatives in the budget will help create a conducive business environment. Mr. Chemante was speaking at the Economic Dialogue on the 2021 budget organized by auditing firm Deloitte.
But in addition to the above, there are other specific programs and policy interventions that have been outlined in the 2021 budget, which will complement the existing policy interventions that I've just referred to. These include the following: the establishment of the Development Bank of Ghana to improve access to medium to large-scale project financing. Secondly, continue the interest rate subsidy incentive for one district, one factory companies to enhance access to affordable credit. Thirdly, the establishment of a domestic credit rating agency to assist firms with access to capital. 4, the implementation of new initiatives to support the Ghana stock market by helping to attract capital for Ghanaian businesses, including the deepening of the stock exchange and partnering with fintechs.
The total value of funds channeled through the mobile money platform in Ghana continues to hit record levels. Latest Bank of Ghana data puts the amount at 135 billion cedis for the first 2 months of this year. But what is driving this growth? Here's George Rafi.
The total value of transactions done on these platforms ending February 2021 represents about a 100% jump from what we recorded in the same period for last year. If this trend should continue, then we would end the year with another record transaction. For instance, we ended last year with more than 500 billion Ghana cedis in total value of transactions carried out on these mobile money platforms. On the other hand, the total amount of mobile money accounts held at commercial banks stood at 7.2 billion Ghana cedis, and in February this year, again higher than the pre-pandemic levels. The total mobile money accounts for the first 2 months of this year stood at 40.9 million. This should mean that there might be instances where one person or a business may have more than one account with these telcos. The platform has also generated a lot of jobs for the citizens, as data from these telcos showed that 465 persons have registered as agents in the country. When it came to the mobile money interoperability, the total value of transactions ending February stood at 990 million Ghana cedis. According to these telcos, apart from COVID-19 being a contributory factor, there's also been some attitudinal change, a move that will be good for the country's quest to go cashless in the coming month. This move may bring some savings to managers of the economy, as a lot more electronic transactions could save the Bank of Ghana some money, especially when it comes to replacing worn-out currencies in the system and helping check the amount of money in circulation.
The Volta Region Coordinating Council has promised patrons a more exciting trade and investment fair later this year. The 5th edition of the fair, scheduled to be held between November 15 and November 28 at the Whole Sports Stadium, would focus on promoting agribusiness, tourism and ICT in the Volta region. Speaking at the launch of the 5th Volta Trade and Investment Fair, the Regional Minister, Dr. Ashbol Lecha, explained the fair forms part of a greater scheme to industrialize the region to propel economic growth.
Ghana must industrialize to create a decent work and economic growth through local economic development for our country as captured in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 8, Agenda 2030. Volta region cannot progress and break out of the poverty cycle if we don't embark on vigorous industrialization, which is the best way of supporting the private sector. This year's event will witness over 500 exhibitors from across the region and beyond, and we are expecting over 8,000 visitors comprising of investors, business communities, diplomats, and contractors, professionals in the building industry, students and young entrepreneurs and manufacturers. We are very optimistic that the 2021 Volta Trade and Investment Fair will help foster partnership and synergy between the Regional Community Council and the private sector. Again, I wish to entreat all our local exhibitors to pay a little more attention to packaging for the sale of made in Volta and made in Ghana products. There will be conferences and incubator platforms that will connect small-scale businesses to seasoned CEOs who will help the companies to properly plan and market their products and services to the global market.
And we'll have more business news at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Up next, sports.
Many thanks for staying with us. Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensando, and the Black Stars will need to be smart and clever if they are to secure qualification to the AFCON 2022 tournament, according to head coach CK Akono. The team left Ghana yesterday for South Africa for round 5 of the AFCON qualifiers against Bafana, and Akono wants a win to join the qualified teams for the Continental Showpiece.
The Black Stars arrived in Johannesburg for round 5 of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Prior to their departure from Ghana, head coach of the team, CK Akono, said the commitment of his team is to ensure qualification to the Continental Football Festival in the game against the Bafana.
As much as we are a threat to them, they're also a threat to us. I mean, it's all about us, how we organize ourselves and get in there and deliver. We want to try as much as we can to qualify in that match before we even get here, and so we'll see the best team that is well organized, best team that will play intelligently, best team that a team that will do these kind of necessary things. There are few details that we need to do. I mean, the difference between us and them, they are the home team, and it's not that much, and so we want to be clever in that sense, go in there and do well and qualify.
With a chunk of their players plying their trade domestically, Akono insists the players have improved their quality of play despite struggling at the beginning of the season.
We've done well. I mean, in the first round, from the beginning, we sort of struggled the way we play. But I think as the league progress and what we were doing, I think there were a lot of improvement. I've been around the country to watch matches, and I think there's been a lot of improvement. And so we are happy.
The 4 times African Cup of Nations champions will engage the Bafana at 4 p.m. kickoff time on Thursday.
Now, still on the Black Stars, Gladson Awako is one of the home-based players who have made a final squad for the game. He says players plying their trade domestically will be given more opportunities if they do well.
Gladson Awako is one of the players who have had a sensational season with Great Olympics, securing him a place in the senior national team. He says the opportunity handed to these players shows the level of quality in the Ghana Premier League.
This tells us that the local guys here are doing well as well, and this should be a motivation to our other colleagues back home, that there are more rooms, there are opportunities. If they should keep working, they should keep playing well. I think the coaches, the managers will give them the opportunity to exhibit themselves. So it's a plus for us and those who are not here with us too. They should keep on praying, supporting us, and we know we'll come back with the victory.
Awako is also confident that the team will have a good game against the Bafana on Thursday, for they have been training for almost a month.
But so far for almost about 4 weeks now, and I think we are getting to the final we're coming to the end of the week, which is very crucial at the moment. And I believe training and everything, the preparation has been good, and I think everybody feels good. We are all feeling very good for the game.
A win for Ghana against the Bafana will book a ticket for the team to participate in the 2022 African Cup of Nations to be staged in Cameroon.